A mind-blowing development in the Sandra Cantu murder investigation. Suspect Melissa Huckabee charged with raping and murdering little Sandra, you won't believe this, people, is now tied to a report about the abduction of a 7-year-old girl back in January. According to the Tracy Press, the blue-eyed, dark-haired girl who lived in the very same trailer park as Huckabee and little Sandra Cantu was taken away from her home and brought to a park for 4 long hours. The woman who took her drove a purple Kia Sportage, the very same type of car registered to Melissa Huckabee. When the little girl was returned to her family, they brought her to the hospital where doctors found muscle relaxers in the child's bloodstream. This is just astounding. The Tracy Press says police dismissed the report because the child's mother smelled of alcohol and allegedly had some kind of drug on her. HLN trying to obtain independent confirmation of this stunning report, but Tracy police not commenting because it's part of the ongoing murder investigation. Meantime, another shocking new report reveals that Melissa Huckabee claimed to be the victim of rape herself. 3 women who have known her at different times all tell the very same story to the Tracy Press, that Huckabee told them shocking details of an alleged date rape 10 years ago at the hands of a police officer. But the accused cop was reportedly cleared after an investigation. So the question tonight, was the rape claim just a sick fantasy made up by a very sick woman? I want to know what you think about all of this. All these shockers. Give me a call straight to my fantastic expert panel. J.D. Weintraub, criminal defense attorney. Brenda Wade, clinical psychologist. And boy, do we need you tonight, Brenda. Thomas Ruskin, former NYPD detective. Darren Kavanoki, criminal defense attorney, a.k.a. the voice of reason. And we need you too. Jim Roop, Los Angeles correspondent for CNN Radio Network, and Sherry Matthews, editor of the Tracy Press, who joins me by phone. Sherry, first of all, kudos to your newspaper for some major exclusives. Tell us more about this mind-boggling, astounding report. I had to read it 3 times to believe what I was reading about another child victim in the very same complex could be tied to this woman, Melissa Huckabee?
Yes, well, I'm looking at it in the police log. I mean, all it really took was to look back a few months in the incident report with the Tracy Police Department and see that, sure enough, on January 17th, there was a 7-year-old girl who was reported missing from the very same trailer park.
And here's the thing. The important thing about this, Sherry, is that the police knew about it and apparently did not take action.
Well, it looks like when it was first reported, there was no police report taken. But then a few hours later, the family called again because they must have noticed that there was something wrong with the girl. And at that time, she was taken to the hospital and she was checked, and they found that she had tested positive for a muscle relaxer type of drug. So at that time, the police checked it out again, and with a report to follow. So the first time there was no report taken, and the second time there was a report.
But I guess the bottom line here, Thomas Ruskin, is that according to this report in the Tracy Press, the person who took this child allegedly drove a purple, which is not a very common color for a car, Kia Sportage, and that is the car registered reportedly to Melissa Huckabee. The implications are, Thomas, that if they had acted on this, they might have stop something even more horrible from happening, and we all know what I'm talking about.
You know, that's where the forensic examination of the body and the autopsy are going to be very, very important in this case. If this girl did have, if Sandra Cantu did have the same type of barbiturates and drugs in her system, then the Tracy Police Department missed it the first time around, and, you know, will be criticized for that.
J.D. Weintraub, I've got to ask you this question, because when I read this, my blood ran cold, and I thought, oh my God, if this is true, and we cannot independently confirm it, but we are trying, and of course the police aren't commenting because it's part of the murder investigation, but if this is true, and they had acted and investigated and found the owner of this Kia Sportage, that would be allegedly her that we're looking at right here. Little Sandra could be alive today.
Well, that's correct under the bare facts, Jane. And of course, that is the gleaning you know, the idea that you see, and that's what they want you to see. A, it's not part of a pending murder investigation. It was a closed investigation from January with a separate victim. And all the police had to do was a victim subject check, which we talked about on your show last week, and they would have seen this a long time ago. But what's really troubling to me is this is a matter of the court of public opinion getting a free, you know, grab at the pot, throw everything in, and see what sticks later. We have no idea what this is. The mother didn't report it, and finally reported it was alcohol in her breath, stoned out of her mind, and that's why they didn't take what she said seriously. She was at the park also, and maybe she just saw the first card that came into her head and had no credibility, and that's why she said the purple kiosk. That's what I think, and there's got to be a lot more before it can
Darren
come out.
Kavanoki, I'm sorry. When a child tests positive for muscle relaxers in her system and she's 7 years old, something is wrong and the police need to investigate it.
Well, certainly this could have been a major, major investigative failure on the part of this law enforcement agency. And as my able colleague just commented, yes, of course, more information is needed, and this is why we test cases in a court of law and not in the court of public opinion. All of that said, though, the thing that just outrages me is the idea that because the mother would have alcohol on her breath or in possession of some kind of drugs, that therefore we can't reliably investigate this case based on these facts that, as you point out, Jane, the purple color of the car is unusual. It's highly unusual that you're going to find that kind of cocktail of drugs in a child's system. So it's just like that old saying. But hang on a sec. It's just like that old notion that even a prostitute can be a rape victim.
Well, forget about prostitute. If you go out to dinner and have a glass of wine, which I don't do because I'm a recovering alcoholic with 14 years of sobriety, but if you go out and have a glass of wine, you're going to have alcohol on your breath. And if this woman, this mother, if this mother was out having dinner with friends and happened to have alcohol in her breath and maybe had some prescription, something or other in her purse, so what?
They said she was on. They said that she appeared to be stoned on some kind of drugs. I think that they didn't think she had any credibility and she was stoned out of her mind.
Well, then maybe honestly, maybe she should have gone to jail for abusing the child or not caring for the child.
No, but the real point is that the police really had an opportunity to do a more thorough investigation. They didn't do it, and ultimately, had that been done, we're talking about a child who may be alive today because we're talking about kidnapping and a whole slew of other crimes.
Brenda Wade, I don't want to beat up on the cops. They did an amazing job, very fast work, apprehending this woman. I give them credit. I could never do their job in a million years. Nevertheless, when you read something like this, it does make your blood run cold because the implications are enormous.
It either makes your blood run cold or it makes it boil, Jane, because, again, we're looking through a filter, and you have to ask the question, what kind of filter were the police using that they would dismiss the mother coming to them, the child testing positive, just because they thought the mother may have been stoned? The child is the one they should have been looking at. Her blood work told the story, and the fact that she was missing and a car of that description, you don't just make that up. There's a lot here that makes me wonder.
What? The biggest fact is that she was a 7-year-old child.
Right.
And she could say whether or not she knew Melissa Huckabee, and she certainly, I'm sure, has cleared her by now. And I hope that on April 24th, when they go back to the court on the defense motion for a gag order, among other things, that this type of thing will stop coming out unless it's coming out in full, so we have all the facts.
Panel, we're never going to have all the facts until the trial. You know that. More on these really stunning new reports that a 7-year-old girl was briefly abducted from the very same complex in January by a woman driving a car of the same make and color as Melissa Huckabee's. And more on Melissa Huckabee's shocking rape claim.
Well, that story doesn't make any sense either.